You know that feeling when you buy a place to escape people, only to discover the people follow you there?
That was me.
I bought a lakefront ranch for the quiet, a long skinny strip of property, a roomy barn, a dock I rebuilt with my own hands.
I vantet Sunrise Coffee bei the water, not HOA drama.
Spoiler, Karma didn't read my wish list. For background, the nearest HOA is a gated subdivision a mile down the road.
We're not in it. Never were.
My deed, county maps, and every polite conversation I'd ever had with local government make that crystal clear. But that's never stopped Karen, the kind of HOA president who treats the word suggestion like a mortal insult. She'd been trying to bully the neighborhood for months, fining people for birdhouses, policing mailbox colors, and recently going full speed into "we'll patrol anything" within shouting distance territory. After I politely told her to mind her own borders, she escalated. Instead of arguing, she hired an off-the-book security detail from some fly-by-night company and told them my ranch was under informal oversight. Then she sent them down to inspect. They arrived on a muggy Thursday afternoon, 3 guys in black polos, walkie-talkies clipped on, sunglasses matching their attitude. They parked their rental SUVs at the end of my long drive and started wandering my yard like they were on a safari. They strolled past the gate, trotted across the pasture, and stepped onto my dock. When I came out of the barn, they gave me smiles that didn't reach their eyes. "Evening," the lead said, voice meant to be friendly but landing like a dare. "We were sent by the HOA to check on some unregistered activity." "This is private property," I replied. "You don't have a permit to be here."
He shrugged.
"We're doing community safety checks." Community safety checks that include stepping through my pantry door without asking, I thought. I invited them to leave.
They didn't.
Instead, one of them pulled out a clipboard and started scribbling like he owned the county recorder's office. The other 2 fanned out, peering into the barn and poking the tractor. I don't like confrontations. I like clear lines and peaceful mornings. But I also have 2 rules: don't trespass on my land, and don't touch my wife, kids, or equipment. Those guys had crossed both lines in 5 minutes. So I did 3 things fast. I locked the front gate, hit record on every camera, and walked out to meet them, calm, measured, and ready to protect what's mine.
I didn't shout. I didn't call names.
I simply told them, again, they needed to leave. The lead guy chuckled.
We could stay.
HOA said we could patrol. HOA has no jurisdiction here, I said.
You are trespassing.
Turn around and go now. He took a half step toward me like he expected me to back down. That's where they misread the whole situation. See, I'm not a guy who likes to brag about training in public posts. But I used to teach defensive tactics, enough to know how to end an encounter with zero theatrics and minimal collateral. I also understand the law. If someone escalates to force on my property, I'm not going to be the one who regrets being polite. He reached for me, slow, deliberate, like he'd seen it in a dozen action movies. I stepped in front of him, redirected his reach, and used a quick, clean takedown that put him flat on his back. The other 2 lunged to help, and I met them with the same move, one quick off-balance, a sweep, and both were down, grabbing at their knees and clambering backward. It wasn't brutality. It was decisive. It was to stop them from taking liberties. Their big talk evaporated into yelps as they scrambled and found both their shins smarting from awkward impacts against the dock planks and the edge of the trailer. They weren't bleeding. They weren't dramatic. They were simply surprised, and sore. Then something fun happened. The 3 of them tried to stand and leave the way they came. My kid, who'd been watching from the barn doorway and had already hit the alarm, put a foot in the middle of the driveway. "You're not going anywhere," he said, and his voice sounded bigger than his years. Cameras recorded everything. They slithered across my gravel like embarrassed raccoons. Nobody was dying. Nobody got a lawsuit-ready scar. They left crawling under the gate like a trio of defeated puppies, clutching their shins and muttering about never coming back. You could see the shame in their posture, the way entitlement shrinks when the bill for it arrives in person. But this story isn't about body theatrics. It's about the fall of a tiny empire. I gave the footage to the sheriff and the county inspector. The security company was a ragtag operation with no business license. Their contracts were fake, liability insurance a rumor. Karen had overreached, and the legal dominoes started to fall. The county issued them a trespass warning that was basically a 2-page, "do not ever return." The fake security outfit got fined and had to refund Karen for the phony invoices they'd sent her. The HOA board, who had been humoring her for months, convened an emergency meeting. No one wanted their name attached to phantom patrols and unpaid fines. Karen's fat little empire collapsed under the weight of paperwork she'd ignored for years. Neighbors who'd tolerated her petty rules for seasons suddenly found their voices. They filed complaints about her misuse of HOA funds, her threatening letters, and the security invoices she'd approved without.